Cowboys Nation? It's the Lando Show. If you're in here, it's probably for a reason. You're probably here wanting to talk business. So that's exactly what I'm here to do today. Talk a little bit of business as it pertains to the guy whose jersey I'm wearing right now. Hopefully soon to be franchise, face of the franchise quarterback, Dak Prescott, right? First of all, those of you that have stuck with me through this channel's progress so far, I appreciate it. If you're wondering why I'm always recording from different spots, sometimes in my truck, sometimes in this room that I'm in right now, it's because my wife and I are moving houses, and our house is not ready yet. So I don't have a studio. I don't have any fancy cameras with great lighting. I apologize if the lighting is rough, if the camera quality is rough, using an internal mic. I know. I get it. Trust me, I'm trying my best right now to just make do until we can get moved in. But I promise you I'm going to keep the content coming and keep this channel growing. So, if you're out there watching, you're doing exactly what I need for, the YouTube algorithm to keep going. So you guys know the drill from that point on. But anyways, let's get into it right now. The nitty gritty of the Dallas Cowboys and as it pertains to their future with number 4, Dak Dakota Prescott. So first and foremost, the people that don't want to see the Cowboys pay Dak Prescott a lot of money, it's as of right now, it looks like it's trending in the direction of you potentially getting your wish. And I'll talk about why you may get your wish, but also why you're probably going to regret it once you do. So that's why I'm here again. We're going to break down some key dates, a couple things that I've been following, paying close attention to from the people that are out there in the know, who are more plugged in than I am. Again, I'm just a guy, I'm a passionate sports fan, obviously, the reason why I'm wearing the jersey, before you go making fun of me, knocking me for it. This is, once again, if you follow the channel, the number one topic, or, the topic in all of sports that I'm probably the most passionate about, because it's been something that I've been loud about for a very, very long time now. It's been something that Dak Prescott's play has now backed up my stance, and now my organization is caught in the thick and, in the middle of it. And it looks like they're about to mess it up. So here we go. Anyways, a couple important dates, right? Next Tuesday, March 9th, the deadline to get the franchise tag designated. The Cowboys will have to essentially place the tag on Dak Prescott. We pretty much know that's going to happen. That is going to happen, and it's going to be more business as usual that we've seen for the last 2 years, right? Dak is going to get tagged. Whether or not he signs that tag remains to be seen, right? But essentially, until that happens, there's not a whole lot to talk about. So, yes, next Tuesday is important, March 9th. It is a key date. The Cowboys will tag Dak Prescott, but again, that date doesn't necessarily change anything. It just means that he has been tagged, and the negotiations will continue from that point forward. Those of you who are out there not wanting the Cowboys to pay Dak Prescott, how you might end up getting your wish and why you might regret it, right? Here's essentially the bottom line is, I'll just try to make it simple. Ultimately, what you have to ask yourself, numbers aside, you have to ask yourself, is this quarterback, is this player worthy of the designation of being the franchise player, representing the franchise as its quarterback, right? Has Dak earned the right to see his career continue to play out moving forward in Dallas, Arlington, to be technical? And so if the answer is yes, then you pay the market price and you move on with it. And you get on with life and you go back to roster building, back to, in the Cowboys case, the drawing board, and looking to build and add upon to, a defense that has, let's face it, holes all over the place at every level, all 3 levels, right? So here's why this leads me into the point of why you're going to regret it. So let's just say next Tuesday, Cowboys tag Dak. He signs it, right? He agrees. So now the Cowboys have the ability, for one, they have their quarterback for this coming season, for the 2021 season, right? B, they could trade him if they want to via the sign and trade, which is a little bit complicated, and I can maybe break that down in another video for you guys later. But just for the sake of time here, let's just say that he signs the tag and he plays this 2021 season under the franchise tag. Be about, kind of work back here. So last year, right, when they franchise tagged him, essentially how the franchise tag works is it's the sum of the 10 highest paid quarterbacks at that position. Add them all up, divided by 10, you get the number, right? 31.4 million. Franchise tag round 2 for 2021. That number goes up by a 20% increase. So 120% of the 31.4 becomes, I think it's 37.7 million. Okay, so let's say Dak signs that deal. He plays for 37.7 million. Okay, so here's the ultimate problem. With the Cowboys, I talked about the defensive side of the football, all the holes they've got there. If you don't get a deal done with Dak, well, guess what? You have to start now looking at the quarterback position in this year's draft and at the 10th overall pick, right? So if we have to evaluate the quarterback position, so now we got $37.7 million invested, which is over 20% of the entire salary cap that has decreased now to about 185 mil. So Dak's making over 20% of that. You can't build a roster through free agency. You can't address the defensive side of the ball at 10 because now you've got to start planning for your future at the quarterback position, the most important position on the field, right? I talk about that all the time. So then you'd be looking at, maybe Justin Fields, Trey Lance, out of North Dakota State, if you're not familiar with him. Maybe potentially even Zach Wilson. I think he's the second best quarterback in the class. I think he's going probably second overall to the Jets. So then you get the picture, right? Mac Jones is another guy, another name that's probably gone in the top 10. So you get the point of where I'm going, right? So that's problem number one. Now the Cowboys have to all of a sudden not only invest a certain, X amount, 37.7 million into one player this season. Well, now they can't address the defensive side of the ball with their, first round pick. Again, I am someone who does subscribe to the idea of take the best player available. I was huge about that all last year, and they did that, right? They showed a change of philosophy there, which was great. I thought it was a fantastic pick for the organization, taking the best player available in CeeDee Lamb, right? But there's just so many holes defensively that need to be filled. What you talk about the linebacker position, maybe Micah Parsons, maybe Patrick Surtain, maybe Caleb Farley, you name it. The list goes on and on and on, right? That becomes more difficult because now you have to evaluate the quarterback position as well on top of that, okay? So if you pay attention to people that are really, really plugged in out there, people like Patrick Walker of DallasCowboys.com. I apologize if I'm misquoting that. David Moore, another very important, he writes for the Dallas Morning News. Great reputation there. Mike Fisher, and Jane Slater. People who are in the know, who are plugged in, who have been reporting on this type of stuff for the longest time, they're all saying good things. Jane's saying Dak's rehabbing at the Star, right? He's there every single day. So there's no turmoil there between him and the organization. That bodes well for getting a contract done. Patrick Walker, voice of the Star on Twitter, right? He says Dak is not only off crutches, he's out of his boot and he's jogging. He's running now. So they're expecting him to be ready by April. So that's Patrick Walker saying that. That's another good thing. That's another thing that bodes well. Him showing that he's healthy around the organization every single day, showing, that he's going to be ready for the season and possibly even for OTAs whenever that starts, right? So then you got David Moore saying both sides are talking. Both sides are, cordial, I guess, and trying to work proactively towards getting an extension. That's good. That's 3 for 3 right there. And then Mike Fisher, he's out there saying that he still feels good about it and that a deal will get done. So 4 for 4 by pretty important figures when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys organization and as it stands with, their relationship to moving forward with Dak Prescott under center. Okay. So, basically, ultimately what's going to happen here is the team suffers if Dak Prescott plays under the franchise tag because not only are they having to draft and fill other positions while also, so like you're investing essentially almost $40 million and then what I would hope a first round draft pick at the quarterback position, one of those previous quarterbacks that I named, right? Because you have to ultimately, like, you can't just say, I heard the guys on the draft show talking about it today, and I agree with David Hellman totally. He said, some of the other guys on there, Bucky Brooks and Brian Broaddus, who are, forgotten way more football than I'll ever learn, but they're saying, you'll worry about 2021 or 22 when it gets there if Dak doesn't sign long term. Well, the Cowboys, the NFL in general, right? Historically, if you just go back and look, like, maybe this is another video that I can do in the future, how just explaining how poorly the NFL is, how bad they are at evaluating and predicting quarterbacks that will stick, and that the hit rate is so low. The Cowboys are certainly no exception to that. So that's why I get so kind of frustrated with. First of all, I don't know if people fully understand the importance of the position, but beyond that, like, even if it isn't that, it's understanding how difficult it is to find another one to replace the one that you already got. Like, think about it. The last two franchise quarterbacks, if you include Dak, for this Cowboys organization, who were they? An undrafted free agent in Tony Romo, and then Dak Prescott, a guy they got late, in the fourth round, after they wanted the likes of guys like Connor Cook and Paxton Lynch, right? Just imagine if they get their wish that year in Dak's draft class in 2016, and they move up and they take a guy like Paxton Lynch. Where's this organization at now? So that's what I'm trying to convey here, is that the difficulty that it is to not only be in a position to take a franchise quarterback, but then taking the right one. Like, you don't get to draft inside the top 10 very often. I think it's happened 9 times in Cowboys history since Jerry Jones has taken over, right? And here's the final reason why, you're handicapping yourself if Dak does play on this deal, the 37.7 second franchise tag, right? I haven't heard people talk about this either. He just bet on himself last year, right? And then what happened? Week 5, he breaks his ankle completely, compound fracture, right? Season's over. Who's to say that next year, this coming season, if he plays under the tag again, who's to say that he's, totally bought in for everything the Cowboys are trying to do? That's what I'm saying. Like, not only do you have to not address like positions of need on defense because you have to draft another quarterback, but then let's say Dak's your quarterback for one more final year and he knows that that's it, and he's going to free agency the year after that. I mean, who's to say that, he's selling out on every snap, every week, every Sunday, right? Who's to say that, he has a thigh contusion on Monday, like on a Monday afternoon or a Monday night game, right? Short week, gets a thigh bruise. Probably not worth it to rush back on a short week, limited time to recover. Maybe should just sit this next week out. The following Sunday. You see what I'm saying? So there's like incentive for him not to be fully bought in because of the lack of a future, a contract, right? Like contract security, financial security, stability long term, right? Who's to say that he's going to sell out? Who's to say he's going to dive for the pylon? Who's to say he's going to flip in the end zone to beat the Seahawks? Who's to say he's going to be out there every Sunday, whether or not he's dinged up? Who's to say he suits up week 16 when, we're 10-6 or 10-6, I think, because we're playing 17 games this year, right? Like 10-6, we got to go get us a W, but he's hobbled and his ankle is inflamed, right? And all of a sudden it's not exactly worth it as much to him anymore to go out there and risk it because he's that close to free agency, right? That's what we have to avoid. And that's what I'm trying to portray. So, again, ultimately, like, I pray that this deal does somehow get done. Todd France, maybe Mike Fisher was saying maybe Todd France has been holding out. Essentially, it was Dak Prescott and a bunch of other of his clients last year that signed the franchise tag. And Todd France, if you don't know, he moved on from CAA, and I don't know the new agency that he joined and that he's with, but Mike Fisher is saying, maybe this is his plot to sort of selling potential, for multiples of his players signing long-term extensions this coming season, right? So because a bunch of those guys that were on the tag last year are ultimately going to have to face it again this year, just same as Dak. So there's hope there, and maybe that it was just Todd Francis' plan all along to maybe just kind of have this as their plot, to get what they want ultimately, which is Dak, either getting the price that they asked for last year on a shorter term deal, or him hitting free agency and, like I said earlier, becoming the second highest paid player in NFL history. And that's another thing too, guys. It's like, say you're picky, you want Dak, but you're not sure you want to pay him $40 million. Here's another thing about that is 2 years from now in 2023, when the new TV deals come in, the salary cap is expected to almost double. So let's say we're looking at a $400 million salary cap in 2023. Well, not only does Dak's $40 million price tag on an annual per year basis, that not only is that going to be a bargain, because if you look back, guys like that, guys that set the market 2 years ago, they're now like way down the totem pole. For example, Jimmy Garoppolo and Derek Carr, I think both signed their extensions in the same offseason, and those guys set the market pace at 27. Well, now we're looking at 40, right? So it was like Jimmy Garoppolo, Derek Carr, both in like the high 20s, and then it was Jared Goff and Carson Wentz in the low 30s, and then it was Russell Wilson at 35, and then now it was Patrick Mahomes at 30 some odd 8, maybe 39, I think was the APY, and so now it's Dak. Like, it's Dak's turn, right? Well, guess what? 2 years from now, Dak and Mahomes and Russell Wilson, those guys are going to get overtaken. Deshaun Watson's another one. But those guys will be overtaken by the contracts that are due 2-3 years from now. So it's like you're getting it for pennies on the dollar in the future, right? So ultimately, that's why I was saying you got to just decide, is this your quarterback now or is it not? And then you make your decision. It's not about penny pinching. It's getting your guy, locking him in, and moving on and moving forward. So, another thing that's handicapped this organization too is, getting guys like Zeke and Jalen Smith, their contract extensions first when, their time necessarily wasn't up. Jalen was obviously a mistake. There's a lot of people that are out there that would say that the Cowboys would be better off just cutting him. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. And, it is what it is at this point. But, again, a lot of you old heads out there, like people that I talk to on a regular basis that have kind of been around this organization, followed it through the heyday of the 90s and beyond, right? And even back in the Tom Landry era, like that, know everything there is to know about this organization, that tell me the Cowboys will never be relevant again as far as getting to the Super Bowl and winning it, as long as Jerry Jones is around. And, maybe I've always kind of disagreed with that. It just seems like kind of a short-sighted, narrow-minded point of view. But ultimately, I'm kind of to the point now to where I'm fed up, of having this conversation and talking about why Dak needs to be here and why it's just silly that we're even in the position that we're in the first place. But B, maybe, if he does end up playing under the tag this year and entering free agency next year, because you're not tagging him a third time and paying $54 million, you're just not, maybe I'll just have to say that I agree with you on that. So that's all I got, guys. Went longer than I expected again. I'm pretty good at that. You stuck around. You made it here with me to the end. I appreciate you rocking with me. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the content. Toss me a subscription, and we will keep on moving forward. Until then, Cowboys Nation, I love you. Peace.